This is the new 2025 Chieftain PowerPlus 112. It's a bike that a lot of us have been waiting for, and in this video I'm going to take you for a ride and tell you all about it. All right, so here it is, the Chieftain 112 PowerPlus. First off, I'd like to thank Zaccos again for allowing me use of their space. I'll show you a clip of what it looks like outside this morning. It's pretty nasty, so having this warehouse to film in is awesome, and being able to use one of their bikes, again, is really awesome. So thank you, Zaccos, for allowing me this opportunity. This bike is something that a lot of us have been waiting for, a liquid-cooled version of the Chieftain, given the engine out of the Challenger, and in this time they kind of actually borrowed everything from the Challenger, the front fork, the entire chassis, the rear suspension, all that. They basically took the fairing off of a Challenger, put a different set of bars on it, and put a Chieftain fairing on it. And I'll tell you what, I actually think that this Chieftain fairing flows better with the design of this bike over what the Challenger fairing does. I think it's a really good looking motorcycle, very modern. I wasn't a huge fan of the update that they did in 2019 with the Chieftain and Roadmaster fairing design, but I do like this one. I think this one looks really good right out of the box. The other one has grown on me, but this is still better. So besides basically just changing out the fairing, they did add a few other pieces of tech that are across the PowerPlus family. Namely, on the 112, you get the rear radar system. So now you have blind spot monitoring, you have rear collision avoidance and rear collision alert, I guess they call it. You also have a hill stop system on it, which basically you grab the brakes and then the bike will hold itself there until you take off. So it's a nice system. I wasn't able to test that feature out. I didn't know how to turn it on at the time, but it's a nice system in theory, and I'm sure it works really well. Another part of the braking is this is a linked brake system, so it kind of determines what you need when you come up to in a panic stop situation, and that goes in line with its lean angle ABS and other safety features that we're familiar with on the Challenger. Now, being that this is a Chieftain, you have the different fairing, a fork-mounted fairing design. This is an all-new fairing design that they came out with. The infotainment system, the ride command, is the same. It's a carryover from years past, but the design layout of the fairing from the cockpit point of view is new. One thing I never liked about the Challenger is how far away everything felt from you. The gauges were kind of hard to read at the angle they were at. They were kind of sunk in. This is a much easier system to read. It's a much easier system for me to reach and everything. When I sit on the bike ergonomically, this fits better. This just feels better. So if I'm going to go for a new bike myself, I'm going either Chieftain or Roadmaster. Now, because of a new design fairing, and this is still using the tank and everything off of a Challenger, the button layout is a little bit different. You still have buttons. It's going to be on the lower part of your fairing on the right-hand side. That's also where your charging port is going to be. So they're not taking away stuff, they're just moving them around to make it fit with the design of the bike. So along with being a 112 PowerPlus package, this Dark Horse also has been fitted with their Performance Plus audio system, which is a really good audio system. Sounds excellent. It's 400 watts of power. It has backlit speakers, which look really cool, daylight and especially at night. It's a really nice, powerful audio system. And if you're using anything other than your helmet to listen to your music, this is a must-have system. All right, all that stuff aside, let's take this thing out and show you what it's like to ride. 1 mile on this bike. And it's cold. I think it's like 45 degrees, so we'll definitely be able to tell you how good this new fairing is. The first thing I can say is it feels wide and really narrow. And I don't think it's really that much different, but that's just what it feels like with the new look. Get those mirrors somewhat set. You can see the new lights in these mirrors, so when you have people behind you, that'll light up. Let's take her for a rip. Sounds like a Challenger. Figured I better get this ride in today because Wisconsin, March weather is weird. And tomorrow evening, we're supposed to start getting up to 6 to 8 inches of snow. As you can see right now, most of our snow's gone. And we've had rain, so the roads are somewhat clean. It's a new microphone setup too, so hopefully it works. Well, whoever set this up, the mirrors on this side suck. Definitely sounds like a Challenger. It don't really feel like one though. I do like the reach better. I never was a huge fan of how the Challenger felt so far away, how the gauges were. I can read these a lot easier than I can on the Challenger. We'll see what the wind protection is like once we get moving. With it being so cold out today, we should have a pretty good gauge on what this actually does to keep wind off you. We're not going to hit the twisties or anything crazy. Roads aren't great. It's 45 degrees out right now, so, but yeah, this is pretty much all the same, except for now you have the tailgate warning deal here, blind spot warning, and there is a bike hold control. I think you have to like grab this really hard or something like that. Can't remember what they said. Well, we're not going to find out now because we're moving. Feels good. Not bad at all. Look at that, lights up. Someone in my blind spot, kind of cool. I think it's supposed to do something on the screen too. Let's see when I pass this car here. Yep, right there, it shows up on the screen. Kind of neat. And you can disable it if you'd like. Right now it's disabled. See, it's not doing it now. We'll turn it back on. Maybe we won't. There we go. I wonder if I turn that on. I don't know why it won't let me turn the hold control on, but that's not something that happens while we're driving. Alright, so at this point you can probably tell a difference in the audio. I don't know what happened to my microphone, but it fell out of my helmet, like, or down below, so it's picking up more engine noise and you couldn't hear a single thing I'm saying. So I'm going to do my best to try to relay what I was thinking and feeling at the time. Realistically, I guess what matters is overall. So overall, yes, this bike again is a Challenger with a different fairing on it, but that fairing does give this bike a totally different feeling. I prefer the way that this one fits. I've always liked the way the Challenger's ridden. I always thought the suspension was better, that the rear suspension for a passenger was definitely better, and of course the braking and everything was good. The Chieftain, as far as the look of the Chieftain overall, I've always preferred, and I've never liked the way that the cockpit feels with the Challenger. All those gripes are fixed with this bike. But the only other thing is I always thought the Challenger engine was kind of noisy mechanically and didn't have as good of an exhaust note, but you know, you got the ultimate performance. That 108 was always a screamer, and this 112 just adds to that. On paper, again, the power difference is not a lot, but it definitely
feels stronger than the 108 just in this little test ride that I did with it. So coming up here, we're going to turn off onto the highway. I'll be able to accelerate it a little bit and actually get on it a little bit. So I'm going to shut up here so you can hear that and see what this is all about.
It's a good bike. It really is. I wish it wasn't raining. Raining and 41 degrees. We're losing temperature.
All right, so right there, when I accelerated and I hit second gear, it definitely felt to me like the front end got a little bit of air underneath that front tire. I don't know if you can see daylight underneath it or not, but at the very least, it fully extended the front forks. This thing pulls, the clutch grabs good. I mean, this bike really does motor. If you want the performance bagger, if you want a full fairing performance bagger, this is the bike to go with. Definitely, at the very least, take it for a test ride. The performance of this thing is really good. On paper, again, the 112 versus the 108 doesn't seem like a lot, but on this test ride, it definitely felt like it pulled better than any 108 that I've ever ridden. And I've ridden quite a few 108s. I've never ridden one with a cam setup on it, but you know, I can imagine that this having the cam upgrade that'll hopefully come out within the next year would even be better. So if you're looking at a Performance Plus engine, get the 112. You will not be disappointed. So now we're getting onto the highway, and I'll say this fairing did a really good job again on the highway at 70 miles an hour and above. The Roadmaster has a little bit more wind protection than the Chieftain even, and I think those little air vents that they have for the Roadmaster are available as an option for the Chieftain. So if you want a little bit more wind protection, you have the option to add those. But yeah, this bike is really done well. They did a good job with the look of it. They did a good job with the wind protection, and of course, as always with any of these PowerPlus engines, they did an excellent job with the performance. So kudos, Indian. See that blind spot monitoring system working well. Again, I don't know if that's for everybody, but if it is something that you want, the only way you can get that is if you go up to the 112. It's not an option that's available from the factory with the 108 bike, and they're not going to offer that as an option to add on either. So it's not something that you can add to an existing bike, or if you purchase a new 108 bike, you can't add it on to that either. If you want all that extra safety, get the 112 and get it right from the factory.
Well, there you have it, the 2025 Chieftain PowerPlus 112. This bike rocks. It is an awesome ride. It has excellent performance. And I don't know if I've really said this out loud before. I'm not normally a big fan of the PowerPlus engine. I prefer the Thunderstroke over this in most cases. And most of that comes down to the way the engine sounds through the exhaust and mechanically. But ultimately, if you want the performance bagger of 2025, this is what you go with, either this guy or the Challenger version. So in closing, thank you for watching the video. Thank you for checking this out. If you haven't yet subscribed, I'd really appreciate it if you consider subscribing and liking the video. It does help the channel out, and it's gonna keep you from missing out on future Indian videos that are coming out this year. And last but not least, don't forget to enjoy the ride. Thank you.